Welcome to Trade Talk, the podcast where construction pros connect, share, and grow. Brought to you by Contractors Connect, this show dives into real-world issues facing today's builders on and off the job site.
Whether you're swinging a hammer, running a crew, or scaling a business, we've got the insights, stories, and expert tips to help you level up in the building industry.
I'm Sarah White.
And I'm Erin Bacher. And together, we'll be talking shop with industry leaders, tradespeople, and innovators who are shaping the future of construction.
Let's get to work. This is Trade Talk. Welcome back to Trade Talk, the podcast powered by Contractors Connect. I'm your host, Sarah.
And I'm Lindsay, and today we are diving into something that I think almost every business owner has experienced at some point. Buying software, hoping that it'll fix everything, and then 6 months later realizing nobody on the team's using it and it's just not effective.
But you're still getting charged for it. Yep. Yes. We have this problem somewhat, and I've recently heard it described as an app graveyard, and I think that is the perfect description. So I'm excited to talk to our guest today because she is going to talk about how it's not necessarily the technology that's lacking, it's the structure behind it that's the problem, and that is where she thrives.
Yeah. So today we're joined by Kaela Hargis from Maverick Ops. She is a company that helps service-based businesses diagnose their operational breakdowns and really put a plan in place to fix them. We've actually used her for our business. And it was fantastic because, it's just one of those tasks that sometimes is overwhelming to think about. Like, we know that we have an issue.
We know there are tools
We know there are tools, but we have the problem of buying a lot of tools that end up just sitting there, partly because we don't implement them correctly.
Right.
But also because maybe it wasn't the tool that we actually needed.
Yes.
So she brings experience to the table.
So I'm excited to talk to her more and learn how she helps people in the construction industry.
Yep. Let's dive in.
If you're in the construction industry and your marketing feels more like a punch list than a plan, it might be time to call in the pros. At Bespoke Consulting, we help contractors and construction businesses get noticed with branding that builds trust, websites that convert, and marketing strategies that actually move the needle. Want to grow your business without wasting time or money? Start with Bespoke. Learn more at bespokeconsulting.com. Kaela, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Tell us a little bit about what your business is.
Yeah, so I have Maverick Ops, which was actually named after my son. I love that name. Maverick is, like the meaning of the name is just like you carve your own path. Mm-hmm. So that's what that name means to me. But I have a business where I help other service providers build the systems and structure for them to be able to grow easily, where business does not have to be so hard all the time. So, yeah.
Love it. What kind of companies typically come to you?
Yeah, so service-based businesses. I do focus a lot in the trades industry, but this transfers really to any service-based business if you're offering a service. The processes are very, very similar, I find, across industries. So
cool.
Yeah. How did you get into this line of work?
Actually, it started with my first business. I was an independent adjuster for insurance, and that industry is definitely male dominant, but I actually just got all my certifications, started running my own business, and I was doing really, really well. So well that I ran myself straight into the ground. So I got really, really sick, actually, and I just didn't come back from that. I ended up leaving all of my success behind because I just couldn't even...
It wasn't good for you.
It wasn't good for me. I had no boundaries. I had no knowledge of systems at the time. And I just said yes to everything and just was like, on the high of success. So after I started to come down from that and trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life next, like I just started this thing, was great, and then I killed myself. So where do I go from here? And I started talking to a lot of other business owners that were in the service industry space, and they were saying the same thing. And I was like, what? Like, we did not get into business to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
We got into business for like freedom, whether that was because we are single parents and we like the traditional life doesn't work for us, or we just we can't be employed because we're sassy or whatever that is. You decided that you were going to do something for freedom, and now you're trapped in your business. So I actually spent a lot of money and probably quite a few years on, learning more about what the backside of business needs to be successful without burning you out while you grow. And so that's really where all of this came from. And then I started working within online businesses, helping them with their operations. And I just learned a ton. So yeah.
Awesome.
And now I feel like my local area, I can't just watch people drown. So
yeah.
You're throwing out a lifeline.
Yeah.
You've come to our rescue at Contractors Connect and set us up with some systems. And one thing that really resonated with us that you said is that people have this graveyard of apps.
Yes.
So
we know somebody who does that a lot. She's not here, but you know her too.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
You buy a CRM or you buy some kind of project management tool, and then, nobody on the team really adopts it. So talk to us a little bit more about that, because I just loved that concept.
Yes, I see that all the time. That is a huge issue. There's just tech sprawl that happens in so many industries, especially with us moving, society moving more towards technology. A lot of leaders believe that if they just get a tool, it's just going to magically fix their problems. It's going to just sit right in that gap that exists, and it's not true. A tool is like for the trades industry example, a tool is going to make your process better. If you don't define what that process is first, then you can't make it better. You can't automate chaos. You just make it faster, I just find that you need to have the structure and the processes laid out, mapped out. You need to have the tool working how you work. It's just an accelerator.
Yes.
It's not do it this way. It's like you can't fit a square peg into a round hole. You know? So you always have to build a tool around how you already are working.
Right.
So.
And I think, too, you need to find tools that are easy to use and actually solve problems for people, because that's a lot of the reason I know I personally don't like all these tools, because I feel like the way I'm doing things is working already. But other people are having trouble. But if everybody doesn't adopt it, then it can't be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that depends on, what you're looking for as well, because, if one person needs to use a specific tool, fine. As long as they commit to using it and using it consistently, that's what's going to matter. And then, so starting, whenever you're looking for tools too, you always need to start with, where are things breaking?
Right.
Where are things consistently breaking? And that is even, the solution isn't even always tools or technology. Maybe it is
a process.
Right. Maybe there's no clarity around who owns what, and defining that before you ever try to throw a tool on top of something is the right way to go. So,
Want to grow your network and your business? Join Contractors Connect, the go-to networking group for professionals in the building industry. For just $400 a year, members get 4 complimentary meetup tickets per year, a featured spot in our online directory, visibility at every Contractors Connect event, and more. Whether you're a contractor, vendor, or service pro, there's a place for you here. Join today at contractors-connect.com/memberships, and let's build something great together.
And so you've said that businesses don't always necessarily have a structure problem. I mean, a technology problem. They have a structure problem.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So that's kind of like what I was talking about, but most of the time, there's no structure. So that a lot of times business owners will build businesses around them and how they work.
And how they work, yes.
Yes. And then, you know, I see it over and over again, like people just don't know how to delegate. I was the same way. Like I didn't know what I could hand off and, you know, if you do hand it off, it comes back wrong. And so there's like actually a technique to delegating successfully. And I think that without that structure, you can't define what needs to be done and when.
It's just like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's just a Band-Aid. And so
you need to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we find that with marketing as well. And we start with a lot of times people come to us and they say, I need a brochure or I need a flyer. And we say, let's start at the beginning and look at everything that's going on in your business, what's working well, what isn't. And 90% of the time, what they think they needed is not it.
Yes.
And a lot of times, structure is part of the issue, and that is where you come in. And so tell me a little bit more, because it's interesting to me that you said that people don't know how to delegate. What is the right way to delegate?
I don't want to say there's a right way, but there is a difference between delegation and task dumping.
Yes.
That is huge for me. Like, it's almost like triggering for me.
Yes. Actually, I'm getting triggered right now.
Talk about task dumping. Like, for instance, you know, I know some people that will just, well, it happens with almost every leader, but they will, you know, maybe they want you to become the lead.
Right.
And they don't really tell you what success looks like. You're just kind of guessing, you're guesstimating, and then they come back and everything's wrong and there's rework and it's just so costly.
Right.
Like just from the beginning, if you are transferring ownership to that person and empowering them to make decisions and having them understand what good looks like and what, you know, maybe if they're unsure about something, what questions to ask and who to go to, instead of just being like, you know, paint the wall. Like, okay, well, there's other questions. Which wall?
Right.
You know, what color?
What kind of paint? When does it need to be done?
People don't think like you.
How many coats? Yeah, you're right. We just assume, like, I know how to do this, like the back of my hand. You should too, but that is really important. And then it saves a lot of time and money in the long run that you've told them what you expect.
And they feel good.
Right.
They're like, I just did the job right instead of getting, you know, bitched at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I like that.
Excuse my language. Can I cuss?
It's fine.
Okay.
So you kind of have helped us in this situation where I feel like a lot of business owners, contractors in particular, might feel just like so overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start. And so like they know they want to come to you for help, but they're not even sure what they're asking for. How do you, like, what's your process? How do you start with them? How do you get that process started to try to figure out and diagnose where you can make a difference?
Yeah. So first we start with, first they need to know that they have a problem. You know, obviously if they're coming to me, they know that they have a problem. They just don't know where to start. Then I have a process called strategic mapping that I do. And that is kind of two things. It's a diagnosis and then it's a sequencing. Because a lot of people want to jump straight to, we need a CRM or we need a this or we need a that. But if you implement that in the wrong order, it's costly. And it's frustrating. And then it comes back to me eventually saying, you know, I didn't like this. This didn't work for us. And so I think it's really important to protect that scope, one, and to just make sure that they get what they actually need instead of me just
giving another tool.
Yeah, just doing what they think.
Right,
Not saying that they don't know what's going on but in their business, but
having another set of eyes and an outside perspective helps a lot. Because when you're in it, a lot of times you can't see what the real issue is.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's where we kind of start with that, and usually we see what the biggest bleeding neck is, and we kind of sequence out for the next couple projects. So,
And so you've helped us with some automations and some tools, some online tools that help with contracts, sales, and that sort of thing. What are some other ways that you help businesses?
So there's always the workflow part of it. I love streamlining workflows, which I did for you guys, kind of set up tools for how y'all were working. And then the biggest part is making them talk to each other, because a lot of times everything's siloed. So there's that. And then there's also getting clarity in your numbers. So once you've kind of stabilized, that's how I work, is once you stabilize the back end and you've got your delivery down and the process is repeatable without things breaking.
Right.
My favorite question is, like, if you had 100 new customers tomorrow, would you be able to handle it? If you say no, then we probably should stabilize your back end first. And then you're ready to scale, by looking at your sales and marketing numbers, and being able to, go with you guys for leverage on marketing and everything like that. So just getting really clear on your numbers and being able to make confident decisions is something else I'm really passionate about. So
Right. And so, like, when you say talk to each other, so for example, with the system that you set up for us, it triggers different notifications. So a contract is signed, and then Lindsay gets a notification that an invoice needs to be sent. Actually, it might even be automatic, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all set up.
And then next after that is a notification that the customer needs to upload their logos or whatever it is that we might need. And then after that's done, then we get a notification that it moves on to the graphic designer. So it's really a lot of steps and talking to each other that's kind of been eliminated, which is good because it saves time to do other things.
Yeah. And other clients that I've worked with, there are processes that is just, it needs so many handoffs and come back, and it's ping pong, right?
Right.
And if one person is busy for 6 hours and they don't read their email, or maybe their email just gets really full by the time they come back, and
they miss things.
It's the bottom, you know what I mean? So I find that it just saves a lot of time, and it saves a lot of mental load.
Yeah, to say, wait, I forgot to tell Lindsay to send the invoice or whatever. It's just already. And then also, it's a way that instead of having to wait for somebody to respond,
100%.
where is something, you can go look yourself. Yeah. So I could see that working for a lot of companies, especially like contractors who are bidding things with clients, and then are the materials need to be purchased and all those kinds of steps.
Yeah, because most of the time it lives in the business owner's head.
Right.
And they're wondering why they can't sleep at night.
Right. Yeah. And it takes some mental load off of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely such thing as decision fatigue.
Yes.
So, it can be crippling for sure.
Yeah.
What's one practical step that an owner, contractor, somebody that may come to you could take this week or just immediately to kind of start making some clarity in their business decisions, and then get to a point where they are ready to come and set up these processes that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I always have people start with I have a stability assessment on my website. It's at maverickops.co. You can find it on there, but it takes a few minutes to just ask you some really insightful questions for you to be able to self-diagnose at first and really open your eyes to where things aren't perfect, or where the
breakdown is.
Yeah, where the breakdown is happening. And then we're able to start a conversation from there about what next steps would be, or what that might look like. So, yeah.
So what are some of the common mistakes or common areas where you find you can help contractors?
That would be scheduling jobs.
Okay.
That would be just really all of their back end processes, like their back office. There's so much that I can help them with, but it's really just getting very clear on what your processes are, and then getting them out of your head. So whether that looks like, project management tool, whether that looks like pulling the process for what needs to be ordered in order for this job to start, or looking at where things keep failing on each job, and then pinpointing what system needs to be in place there. I feel like the trades industry is very underserved in that area. There's some guys that just get it and some guys that don't.
Right.
And I just want to help. I mean, it's literally, I think a lot of times too that this industry is because it's male dominant, it's very ego driven. And so it's like the simplest, stupidest things that are going wrong, they just get overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it can't be that simply, it can't be that stupid, simple.
Right.
It actually is.
Yeah.
It really actually is. You're just doing this all yourself. So when you try to take a day off, everything crumbles.
Well, and even like when we were looking at what we needed to do, I think, I was able to identify what the process should look like and what tool we should use. But the idea of getting all that going and customized and set up was just too overwhelming. And so
we would have never done it.
No. And so that's what's great is that like, even a business owner may have an idea of exactly what they need and they don't know how to do it, but also when you come up with a solution, you're not just saying, here's the solution, you're going to actually put it together for them.
Oh yeah. And that's the difference. I feel like there's been so much, it's funny you bring that up because there's so much skepticism with the trades industry. I'm not sure what they've been sold in the past, but I'm not a business coach. I'm not a guru. I am getting in the nitty gritty with you and finding these gaps and patching them.
Right.
Find a problem once or make a solution once. You know what I mean? It's repeatable.
Right. And you're not trying to sell them on anything. You're just trying to find whatever was going to make their job and business run more smoothly.
I've been there. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's what makes I think that is why people should come to you in particular, is because you're not a sales rep for any of these companies.
No.
You truly don't care what they use.
Right.
You just want to find and pick out the best product for them that is actually going to make a difference. I think the reason people are skeptical is because they get signed on to these certain products and, they work with their sales team for the onboarding and then they have a follow-up call in a month. But I mean, those people aren't really deep diving into their business. They're just trying to make a sale.
Yeah.
They don't know if that's
and then there's
actually
usually ongoing costs that are a lot and any changes you need to make are expensive.
Extra.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, and maybe it's truly company specific, but speaking about builders and contractors, is there a favorite project management tool that you typically lean towards or recommend, or is it really dependent on their business?
It really is dependent. I mean, of course, I have my favorites that I like to use, but I like to say that I'm tool agnostic because it truly depends on are you using something already? If not, there's potential for finding something that works. But if you're already using something, it works. It just maybe needs to be cleaned up or better utilized. That's one thing. I'm not, like I said, I'm tool agnostic, and I'm not ever going to be pushing a specific tool.
Right.
We are going to get, if there's a tool that we decide needs to happen, we're going to get very clear on what that tool needs to do. What fields it may need to have, what custom fields it may need to have, what it needs to actually accomplish, and what we need to see it do. So from there, we kind of shop. If you don't have anything, we shop and we make the best decision together. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. I think you told everybody how they can find you, but go ahead and say that again. Where can people learn more?
Yeah, so you can find me either on Facebook at Maverick Ops or my website, which is maverickops.co, MAVERICK. OPS. Yes. .co.
And you're also at our Walton County event. Actually, you were at Okaloosa too. So people should try to find you and you can make some contacts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, it was great talking to you, and I think this hopefully will open some people's eyes, and because you've been super helpful for our team in particular.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When it comes to internet, faster matters, but local matters more. Live Oak Fiber is your proud community-focused fiber internet provider, delivering fast, reliable internet with symmetrical upload and download speeds, perfect for both homes and businesses. Plus, with friendly local customer support, you'll always talk to a real person who actually lives here. Call 850-502-5842 to get connected today. Live Oak Fiber, connecting our communities with fast, reliable internet. All right, now it's time for Voices from the Booth.
So last week in Okaloosa County at our first event in Okaloosa, which was fantastic, by the way, I hope you guys join us for the next one. We had the Trade Talk booth sponsored by Wholesale Wood Products, had several guests. So let's take a look at a couple of them.
Yep, let's watch.
I've got my first guest in the Trade Talk booth, Melanie with Emerald Coast Fabrication. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite. This is amazing. You know, like I try to doing this for networking and then get connections with different brands in all local and Panhandle area. So I working for Emerald Coast Fabrication. We're doing custom countertops. We've been around to this area for 32 years. So we are located in Panama City Beach, close to Ace Harbor.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we work in between materials like marble, quartz, quartzite, and right now we start to working with porcelain. So I'm excited to working with them.
Yeah, awesome. So I assume that you service probably like Panama City to Pensacola for
Yes.
Walton?
Yes, we
Okay.
cover all Emerald Coast, so between Pensacola to Mexico Beach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are also a sponsor tonight, so thank you so much
Yes,
for that.
thank you.
I hope you make lots of connections, and
sure.
we'll see you around.
Thank you.
I have Tiffany, who is one of our fabulous partners this year. She is with Live Oak, so tell me a little bit about Live Oak.
Live Oak Fiber is an amazing internet provider, fiber optics. We're going to be 4 years old this year, which is awesome. We operate here on the Panhandle and then the Georgia Isle, so Savannah, Brunswick. But we're all local, and that's what I love. And when I met you guys or heard of you guys a year or so ago, I was like, this is interesting. And something has stuck with me, and I've been holding on to it. So I want to say this statement. Contractors build homes. Live Oak connects the people inside of them. Not done. Different lanes, same mission. The Emerald Coast thrives when local businesses show up for each other.
I love
So
that.
that's why Live Oak Fiber is here. And it's so funny because you look at my table and it's like cute stuff. You know, a couple things we're going to raffle off, but it's not as intense as the other ones, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Right? It's all about the relationship. So we're excited to be a part of it.
Awesome.
And excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And yes, you're exactly right. That's why we're here tonight, for the networking and for the relationship. So glad to have you.
All right.
Thank you. And I have got Barrow Contracting. We would love to hear a little bit about you guys. We've recently met you. You are part of our VIBs, our Builders Circle. So tell me about Barrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a residential and commercial builder here. John Farrow, our GC, he is a national builder, come back in with 30 years of experience. So every time I'm around him, I just sponge up his knowledge. But so I'm his estimator. We're in Destin, but we service 7 counties.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, great. I'm so glad you're here tonight. I hope you make some great connections, and I'm sure we'll see you at the next event.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Quick break to tell you about Blueprint, the luxury annual guide to remodeling, construction, and design for the Emerald Coast. Blueprint helps your business get in front of homeowners who are actively planning high-end projects. Through a beautifully curated print publication plus digital and social exposure. If you want your brand seen by homeowners before they choose a builder, designer, or trade partner, now's the time. Ad space is limited and the deadline to reserve is May 1st. Learn more at contractors-connect.com/blueprint. All right, well, thanks to Kaela for joining us today. I enjoyed talking to her about many things, the graveyard of apps, the structure that's the issue, and delegation. I think that's something everybody could use some help with.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening to Trade Talk. Make sure to join in for the next episode, like, subscribe, and follow along wherever you listen to your podcast.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning into Trade Talk, powered by Contractors Connect, where construction pros connect, share, and grow.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew.
Until next time,
Stay sharp,
stay safe,
and keep building.